A fine morning to everybody. Welcome to day 2, Microsoft Project Conference. How's everybody doing? Good. How's the keynote? Did you guys enjoy that? Awesome stuff, right? Now it's just going to get better. Very excited to be here with you. Now before we get started, I thought I found this interesting, right? I'm in a project conference. Projects got to be the number one tool we rely on. And I'm glad that I was right, because if email was the answer, I would have to change my sessions on how you use email for project management. Now, with that, thank you, folks. My name is Dux Raymond Tsai. For those I haven't met, welcome. Thank you for being here. We're very, very excited, at least I am, to look at this whole topic around how we use Project 2010 with Office 365 for project management success. Now, when think about Office 365, I know most of you know what it is, might be nebulous, so I'll kind of explain it to you. But before we get going, and with respect to project management, can anybody tell me, similar to that survey I had earlier, what's the most used project management tool today? Email. Catherine is right, and for being correct, she gets a prize. Mangoes. There you go. Not the phone, though. So email is the number one project management tool today. Some of you may not believe me. What are you talking about, Dux? We're in 2012. Project Management Institute, PMI. Anybody from PMI? PMP's in the house? PIMP? No. PMI did a survey last year to project management professionals around the world. About 200,000. No, not 200,000. That's too much. But a lot. And in 3 months, the survey came back. They said, as a project manager, what's the number one tool do you guys rely on? Email is number one. No. Think about it. Where's that status report? Let me check my email. Where's that budget? Let me check my email. Where's that requirements template? Oh, let me dig through my email. Do you feel the love? Not the email love. Email is a 1973 technology. Friends, we could do better. We've got iPad 3 came out. We've got Windows Phone. Heck, you guys have TiVo at home because you had to record Dancing with the Stars the last season. And we are using a 1973 technology to work with us for our projects. But after the session, hopefully that will change. Because in this session, we are going to look at things that we already have that indeed we can maximize. We're going to talk about how we utilize Project along with Office 365. So when we talk about Office 365, it's actually a plethora of tools. Some of you might be thinking, well, maybe Dux is just going to talk about Project and SharePoint. Yeah, true. But I'll also show you how you maximize Lync for project collaboration. How we use Office-based tools like Excel, Word, and again, even email. Much, much more effectively. And some of you might be thinking, well, Dux, we're not on Office 365, so I don't know if this session will be helpful for me. Absolutely. Although we're talking about Office 365, all the concepts, all the demos, and all the example would work in your environment if you have all these tools installed or on-premise. Now, we'll talk about techniques around assessing where you are in the project management scheme of things. Because tools are just tools. And I'm going to talk to you about, well, Dux, with this plethora of tools, what would work best for us? What would work best for my users? So we'll look at that. We'll talk about how we create a SharePoint-based PMIS. So those who raised their hands who said, you're a PMP, does that acronym sound familiar? PMP? PMIS, yeah? You remember when you took your test for PMP? Inputs, tools, outputs, and in the tools, there's this thing called PMIS. You memorize it, and after the test, you kind of forgot about it. I don't really know what that is, Dux, but I had to pass the test. Now, you will see what a PMIS is, not email, but using SharePoint. We'll talk about how we integrate project information with SharePoint. Some of you already seen the capability of Project 2010 to synchronize with SharePoint. We'll see more of that, and I'll even show you how you synchronize custom fields that you can create yourself. We'll talk about how you collaborate with your project team. You see, a lot of folks, when they think about project management in Microsoft, all they think of, oh, Microsoft, their project management tool is Project. Yeah, that's true, but project management is much, much more than schedules. It's much, much more than reports. We got this thing called collaboration, right? So what can we use? So we'll look at that. We'll look at how do we collaborate in Excel? How do we collaborate in Word? Heck, Dux, how do I collaborate? I got an iPad. That I want to see. Of course, I'll show you that. I got my iPad, Windows Phone, so look at all that good stuff. Also talk about how we build a dashboard. I know I use this joke a lot, but for those of you who haven't heard this, when you go back to work and you want to get that next big promotion, go up to your boss. One word, dashboard. That's the secret, career success. And I'm going to teach you how to do that. And when you do get that promotion, don't forget me. My name is Dux. Managing partner with Innovative E. We focus on helping organizations maximize the benefits of SharePoint and related technologies, project server for project management success. Very honored to be a SharePoint server MVP. I wrote the book SharePoint for Project Management, which I will, by the way, give away after this session. And additionally, at lunch, there's a book signing that's going to happen that I'm going to give away 50 more copies of the book. So to do this scientifically, I'm going to pass around this bag. Put your name, just put your name and email, and I'm going to do the drawing right after the session, all right? And if you want to put money here, I'm all for it as well. Okay, good. So I'll just pass that around. I'll grab that later. Now, feel free to connect with me. There's my contact info, and I respond much faster on Twitter. So if you're not on Twitter, please sign up on Twitter. And talking about Twitter, feel free to tweet away during this session. My Twitter handle is MeetDux. Hashtag for this session is PC239, and for the conference, MSPC12. So, friends, let's get going here. So, as for our agenda, what we're going to look at and talk about is first understand is project with Office 365 the silver bullet for project management. Okay? And then right after that, I'll jump directly into doing demos, stepping through a typical day or a typical life of a project manager. So, to put things in perspective, does this picture look familiar to everyone? I think this depicts every project we're involved in. So let me read it to you. Some of you are sitting in the back. On the top left, it says, this is the kind of project the customer explains that he or she or they would want. The next picture would say, that's how the project leader understood it, right? So from a 3-swing setup to like a 1-swing in the middle. Next one, it's how the analyst designed it. Chops the trees, huh? How the programmer wrote it. How the consultant described it. You like that? With the sofa and the lights, angels singing, ha! How it was documented. Our favorite activity, no? Documentation? What operations installed, how the customer was billed, right? How it was supported, and what the customer really needed. You laugh, but that's going on right now in your world. Why? Why does this happen? Julia? I'm sorry. What's your... Lisa, I'm sorry. Why does this happen? I heard you laugh. Miscommunication, right? Either irrelevant communication, you know. What's that? Motivations. What's in it for me? Poor requirements, yeah. Mismanaged expectations. I can go on and on. But I bet you none of you are thinking right now, well, Dux, because they have a bad project management tool. Yeah? And that's what I want to talk to you about. Because one of the common themes, being in this industry for a while, when I work with customers, you know, they call me up, hey, Dux, we want Project Server. Okay, let's set up a meeting. I go and see them. A couple people. I said, why do you want, and they tell me again, Dux, we want Project Server. I say, why? And just like you guys right now, quiet, very quiet. And then I get insecure. I go, maybe my English is not good enough because I moved to this country in 96. Maybe I change it up. ¿Por qué? And then they laugh like that. What are you talking about, Dux? I go, why? Why do you think you need Project Server? Well, our projects are all a mess. We're not meeting deadlines. Budget's out of whack. So we think Project Server is our life savior. And then I go, no. But hey, they don't heed my advice. They go on and do their thing. 3 months later, they call me back, Dux. Everybody hates it. Right? Anywhere in the organization, you walk around, users will look at it and say, hey, project server sucks. Do you have those users? So here's your assignment. When you go back and see them, go up to them, and when they tell you project server sucks, you go, no, 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 project server doesn't suck, you suck. It's a freaking tool. What we miss, friends, is when we talk about project management, it involves three things. And today, as you can see from the keynote this morning, business is driving, there's a need from the business that's driving more initiative around project management and project collaboration. And what we miss a lot is because a lot of people aren't trained to be project managers, they just go off and do their own thing, which is fine. We're all working on projects, you know. Joe with IT, you know, he needs to roll out a Windows upgrade project for the company. He just goes and does his thing. And what does he use? Yeah, he uses paper, Word, Excel, email. Yeah, it might work. And then everybody else do their own thing. But when all hell breaks loose, knee-jerk reaction of organizations is, oh, projects are not going well. We need project server. Am I offending anybody here? Good. Now, the problem is you can accelerate the maturity of your tool. It's a couple of clicks maybe, but you cannot speed up the maturity of people's background. And even worse, if you don't have a process, that's going to be hard. So what am I proposing, friends? My proposal is, as you want to be better in project management, these three things have to be lockstep. And to be lockstep, you can't just jump your tool to something very, very powerful and complex. You want to move your people's background around project management, basic training or organizational process being developed or standardized. And then as you move that lockstep, the kind of lockstep movement you could do with your tools from email, Word, Excel is to move to a project and all the other tools that people are familiar with, Office and SharePoint. And that's what we're going to talk about. Now, this concept of a PMIS, it stands for Project Management Information System. It's an industry standard term, and the idea is it's a standardized set of automated tools within an organization integrated into a system to help project managers work on projects. Today, you like it or not, PMIS of choice is email. Your email holds everything together for your project. Would you agree? I mean, it's fine, but it could be better. So what I'm proposing today for everyone is to look at, instead of email, let's utilize the tools we already have. Again, I know I'm talking about Office 365 today, but all the products under the Office 365 umbrella are products that a lot of us have in-house. So what's Office 365? Office 365, essentially, it's a hosted offering from Microsoft for SharePoint, Exchange, Lync, and Office web apps. So if you don't want to deal with infrastructure anymore, have Microsoft do it. And I know there's mixed feelings about the cloud. Oh, it's bad, you know, security, security, security. But to me, unless it's your core business, I'm all for the cloud. Right? Because the cloud can take care of your upgrades. The cloud can take care of scaling. I mean, it's just like power in your house, right? We don't think about electrical power. We don't need to generate power at home. We just pay our bills. If we use more power, then we pay more bills. Same idea. Much more reliable, especially if infrastructure is not a core business. Now, what about using all this stuff? So, I talked about the value of understanding people, process, and technology. I talked about the cloud with its benefits. Let's get going here, ducks. As a project manager, ¿por qué? Yeah? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to step through a typical day in the life of a project manager. So let's say I work for a company called SharePoint Cafe. We open coffee shops around the world, and I'm your typical project manager. I'm not very technical. I can use a phone, I can use Office, I can use a browser, but that's all I can do. And my day job is to get my my project's done. And yesterday, my boss walked up to me, right, and said, Dux, I want you to open our new coffee shop, and it's going to be in Phoenix, okay? Great town, especially this time of the year. I heard in the mornings, nice weather to run. Anybody ran this morning? Good. Right? So that's your next assignment. Now, fortunately, Dux, as you know, last week we rolled out Office 365, and you've been using Project for a while, and I know you took an hour training with IT so that you can maximize this tool set for your job, for what you do. And one of the things that I learned as a project manager, from this day onwards, all our projects will be centralized in SharePoint Online, which is on Office 365, because SharePoint Online serves a great step up to email. Not only can I centralize artifacts, my documents, my meetings, my calendar information, I can also streamline communication. I can set up alerts. I can use workflows, which I'll show you. And it integrates with tools that I already know, Office. So, as a first step, this is where process is very important. Part of our organizational project management process, whenever me, as a PM, I get assigned to work on a project, the first thing I do is to set up my project PMIS. Y'all with me? Project initiation, first thing you do, create a project site or project management information system. In fact, friends, let me go ahead and show that to you. So, yes, I'm using a Mac. I'm a Mac type of guy. One of the powers of SharePoint Online, or in at least with SharePoint 2010, that's the version we have on SharePoint Online, it's cross-browser compatible. Doesn't even matter if I'm not using IE. So I open up my Mac, and this is our Project Management Office site where everything gets started. So as a project manager, I learned that I had to open a coffee shop in Phoenix. So the first thing I'm gonna do is go ahead and create my project site or my PMIS. And for those that haven't seen this, SharePoint pretty much is a wizards-based tool similar to Office products. So I'm going to click this template, or select this template. So let's say Phoenix Project, okay, and PHX. So that's part of our standards. And if you're wondering what these templates are, you know how in Word or Excel you have templates for everything? Like a birthday card template, newsletter template, what have you. So same idea, SharePoint Online comes with all these templates to get you started. However, if you look at these two templates at the bottom, these are customized templates for my organization because the good people in IT and the project manager sat down, talked, and IT understood the kind of needs we project managers had, and IT created a template specific to opening a coffee shop. You all follow me? And that's not even very technical. I think that's a great idea, IT and the business talking, working together. Don't you? Yeah. Now, so after that was defined and the template made available, I could go in here and just pretty much click and decide who can come in, who can't come in, all that good stuff. So only people in my project would be allowed to access this PMIS. So in the interest of time, I went ahead and created it. So this is the end result. So after I hit create, this was generated. Now, if you're looking at this, some of you might be thinking, well, Dux, that looks like regular out-of-the-box team site template. Yeah, that's true, but if you look at it closely, it's actually customized to our organization's needs, what our organization works on. So, for example, in this project site template, I've got project announcements where I can put all our project announcement, discussion board. If I look at the project documents, document library, all the templates that I need for my project is already there. Now, let's stop and think about this. What is the benefit? ¿Por qué? How many times when you get started in a project, number one, if you wanted like a website, right? Let's say 20 years ago or 15 years ago. Who do you go to ask for a website? Who? IT, right? You fill up a ticket request. Dear IT, I just got assigned to this project. Can you get me a website? Remember I bought you Guinness last night? Thank you for that person who bought me Guinness last night. Now, would you get that website right away? No, depending on who you are, the priority of the project, heck, the project might have been done, your website's not yet there, right? Now, what just happened here? In like 2-3 minutes, as a project manager, I am helping myself. Hey, I need to initiate this project, create a website, boom, it's there. Y'all with me? Number 2, what's the other benefit? Not only was I able to create a centralized project repository, everything I need for that project is there, all the templates. How many of you, when you get started on a project, you need this template, that template, you cobble all these things together, you look on your email, you go to the network share, 18 folders deep, and it's still not there. You call Tony, hey Tony, you have that template from the last project? And this has nothing to do with technology, friends. It's all about your process. Right? That's why you can't jump and make shortcuts. Now, what else? What else do I want to do? Okay, so as a habit, as a project manager, one of the things I do is when I initiate my project, I go ahead and create the kickoff meeting. So I can go to my project site and say, okay, kickoff meeting. And we're going to do it conference room A. That's fine. Let's see. We'll do it later in the afternoon. All right, for an hour. Good. Now, some of you looking at this, and especially for those, again, who haven't quite seen SharePoint yet, you might be thinking, well, Dux, it's a website, you know? Bless your heart. Anybody from the South? You know, whenever you hear bless your heart, that's not a good thing. I kind of learned that. When I first moved to the States, I lived in Atlanta. Right? A little old lady walked by, bless his heart, that kid's ugly. Right? Dux, bless your heart. I mean, you're trying hard up there, you're energetic, I'm with you. But that's just a website. I mean, I could do that with Google Apps. I could do that with Basecamp. What's so interesting? What's so cool about that? Well, since Office 365, or in this case, SharePoint, is part of the Microsoft family of products, there's tight integration with tools people already know. So, for example, I can take that project calendar and say connect it to my local version of Outlook. So when I hit connect and hit yes, notice that the Phoenix Cafe project calendar is now on my local copy of Outlook. In fact, I'm going to hide my personal Outlook calendar, and the kickoff meeting is listed there. Now, this feature is not even new. It's been there since 2003 Outlook, and SharePoint 2003. Now, what does that mean? It means that I don't even have to go to the project site. Anytime a new calendar entry is put in there, it'll show up in my copy of Outlook. Now, I don't know about you, Outlook is my command center. I go to work every day, fire up Outlook. It's true, right? Yeah, he's laughing right there. So I fire up Outlook, and I leave it up there. I don't even have to go to the project site. Data will come in. But wait, there's more. Not only can information be consumed from your project site, I can enter information in Outlook. So I can say a requirements meeting. On Thursday, we're going to do all-day meeting, conference room A again. Hit save. Notice I just put in that event in Outlook, and guess what I just did? That same piece of information is now made visible on that project site. What's the benefit? ¿Por qué? Think about how many times as a project manager we have to deal with entering the same set of data in 10, 20, 30 different places. Oh, I got to stick it in Excel. Oh, I got to stick it in this website. Oh, I got to stick it in our time tracking system. Oh, I got to stick in the most powerful database out there called Access. You know, Microsoft Access runs this country. Now, not only can we do this with SharePoint site calendars, we can do it pretty much with almost everything on this SharePoint site. So I can connect this document library. So all the documents on the project site can be made visible in Outlook. So anytime a new document comes in, voila, I could preview it in Outlook. I don't even have to go away. Now, if you're like me, I'm not only working on a single project. Check that out. The beauty of that is all the projects I'm on and all the related artifacts that I want to surface in Outlook, I just connected it. Very powerful. Now, what else? When we talk about getting the project started, so the first step is create your PMIS. Next, right, as we get started and we're going to start planning the project, this is where Project 2010 comes in. So let me first define what this tool is all about. It's getting warm up here. So Project, for those who haven't really used it much, Project is a tool that does three things really well. So listen carefully. Project does three things really well. Number one, Microsoft Project is a scheduling tool. Microsoft Project allows us to build project schedules, so as we're planning. But additionally, Microsoft Project allows us to track schedules as well. You know how many times I've been so disappointed? I live in D.C., so I work a lot with government. And when I walk into projects, first thing I ask for is, hey, can you show me your schedule? Sure. They give me a nice printout of Microsoft Project. I go, this looks good. This is when you started the project. I want to see the tracking information, the actuals against the baseline. Typically people say, what? What are you talking about, Dux? I go, don't you track your projects with Microsoft Project? No. So what do you use Microsoft Project for? Oh, it builds me a nice Gantt chart. I print it out and give it to everybody, and that's the end of the tool. Well, if that's all you use Project for, friend, that's a very expensive piece of Excel software. Right? So, number one, Microsoft Project is used for schedule development and management. Number two, Microsoft Project can be used for resource management. And we'll see that in a while. Number three, Microsoft Project is really good for generating project-based reports and anything that's relevant to the project. Anybody went to that reporting session yesterday on project? It's very good, isn't it? Yeah. Amruta did a great job. Now, just like anything else, it assumes that you are familiar with project management fundamentals. Not to be offensive here again. How many of you in your organizations, Microsoft Project is in the hands of people that don't even know anything about project management? Yeah. I mean, I recall my first experience with Microsoft Project. It was unpleasant. It was back in '95. I was a developer. I started my career writing assembler code. If you don't know what that is, you weren't born yet. And I remember my manager walking up to me one day and he says, hey, Dux, do this next release, and here's Microsoft Project. Use that to schedule it. I go, how bad would that be? I'm an electrical engineer. I know assembler. Project, How hard would that be? I know Excel. I know PowerPoint. Project. So I fire a project, right? First 30 seconds, familiar, a little spreadsheet. And 2 hours later, I was still looking at it. I didn't know what to do with it. Fast forward to today, it's a tool. There's an inherent assumption that you know some of the key concepts, so you'll know what to do with the tool. Now, so planning. Once you've got your PMIS, the next step, you have your work breakdown structure developed. You want to develop a project schedule. And how you do that is you use Microsoft Project. So let me show this to you. So in my PMIS, all right, so notice in my PMIS or my project site, in my project documents document library, one of the templates that's already pre-populated is a Microsoft Project file, and it's called Cafe Project. Since we do this all the time in our organization, we open coffee shops around the world, we've already templatized this whole process, which is cool. That's part of our standard. I have to tweak this to make it relevant, but the base template is already there. So for those who haven't seen Microsoft Project 2010, we got that nice timeline view up there. So these are all the discrete steps that I have to take to work on the project. All our estimates are there. So one of the first things I have to do is define when this project will get started. So I know this project has to start sometime in, I'll just type this in, April 1st, 2012. Now, the beauty of this tool is as soon as I type in when I should start, based on the data that I already have, it'll figure out, in theory, when this will get done. All right? That's the scheduling engine behind it. So if I start on April 1st, if I had to do all these tasks, I'll get done by August 16, 2013. Right? You know, it is what it is. So that's the first step. Define when you're going to start. Make sure you have your task, your estimates there, and then link all the dependencies. And so this is very simplistic. Obviously, we can do more complex dependencies. Now, what next? Next step. Now I've got my task, my scheduled plan. I need to work with my resources. So one of the things I could do in Microsoft Project, we said, you know, project is great for project schedule development management. Number 2 is resource management. So I can enter my resource who's going to work on this project. I know my boss assigned me to work on this. And unfortunately, that's the only resource I get. Story of my life, Ducks. Right? It is what it is. That's cool. But to be more accurate, I need to make sure I put in relevant information about Ducks' availability. I know Ducks will be taking a vacation sometime soon. So I know he's going to take off on April 3rd. Okay, to, I don't know, April 28th. So that's his vacation time. All right. So I entered that, and now, obviously you can put a lot of other stuff in there. How much is he available for? This assuming he's available full-time. Maybe you can say, well, the first 2 weeks is half-time, etc. So you can do a lot of that stuff. And then now I'm going to go back to my Gantt chart and assign Ducks to all the tasks. All right. By the way, anybody know who invented Gantt chart? You're being too smart, right? Yes, sir? Henry Gantt. Very good. All right. So, and who's Henry Gantt?
The 19th century engineer.
Absolutely. He's with the U.S. military. All right. A lot of these project management concepts came from the U.S. military. The Gantt chart is your spreadsheet that you have here overlaid with like a calendar view, and you see the bar when these things will happen. You didn't realize you learned that in this session, right? Good. So that's 1 point up for my eval, correct? No. Now, I'm going to assign Ducks to these series of tasks. So let me go ahead and hit assign. Now, before I do that, friends, what did we say about Ducks? He's on vacation for 3 weeks, right? However, the schedule doesn't reflect that yet. So if I hit assign, boom, check that out. Now the project is pushed out a month later. Now, Ducks, that's not good. Well, it is what it is. And this is where the tool can be helpful as well. At this point, when you talk to your boss, well, boss, looks like it's going to take from April 1st to September 2013. I thought you said it's only August 2013. Well, Ducks is taking vacation for 3 weeks. So it's either you tell him not to go on vacation or you get me somebody else. Because you can't get anything that's fast and good and it's cheap. You can't get anything that's cheap and good that's fast. And whatever that third one is, right? It's hard to keep up. And my point is, having a tool like this, you could do a lot of what-if analysis and justify what you're doing. And then the boss comes back, okay, we really don't have money. Slipping the date a month is fine. It's no big deal. Y'all with me? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and save this work. And keep in mind, another beauty of using SharePoint Online is as I saved it, it's saving it back to my project site. None of those saving it to my documents folder, and then I have to email it to somebody else so they have to look at it. All that, gone. Now, what else? So once we create our schedule, the next step is how do we take advantage of collaboration tools that come with Office 365, all right? Now, a lot of you, I suspect, have SharePoint. Who has SharePoint in your environment? 2010? Okay, very good. Can you put your hands down? Who doesn't have SharePoint? Haven't used it? Nothing? Okay, good. Now, for those that hands raised, not SharePoint. So far, what do you guys think? Something useful? Yeah, okay. So let's talk about collaboration tools that comes with Office 365. So there's a lot of different scenarios I can show you. So let me step through a couple scenarios for you, friends. So first things first, right? So one of the things that I can do. So one of the things we already have, and I've shown you, is if you have a centralized project repository like SharePoint Online, you can put all your files in one place, which is great. Now, even better, I can open a Word document, for example, this change impact analysis worksheet. So I can open this document and say, update it. Phoenix Cafe. All right. Let me hit save. Now, one of the beauty of SharePoint is built into it, there is versioning capabilities. And I didn't have to do anything. And what I mean by that is, let's say your organization has to submit to government compliance or legal compliance. You all familiar with SOX, Sarbanes-Oxley? How long should you keep financially related data? 7 years, I think, yeah? How about HIPAA? HIPAA, you all familiar with that? Healthcare? FDA Part 11? Yeah? ARRA? Yeah? Run DMC? Checking if you're listening. Now, if you have to deal with that, how do we work with those things today? If you get audited by Ernst & Young or Accenture or whoever, what did that document change impact analysis look like a year ago, right? Maybe you try to look for your email and you can't find it. What do? Who do you call if stuff like that's happened? Who do you call? IT, right? And that's the kind of call you don't want to make all the time, right? Because if you say the wrong thing to IT, what would IT say? No access for you, next. It can be done, but you have to go through all those hoops. Now, what if me as a project manager, I could take care of it? So let me go back to my change impact analysis worksheet. And I will say, you know what? Let me see the version history. And in the version history, right, it shows me, wow, this document has been edited this date, this time by this person. That's the size. That's all cool. But docs, I want to see what changed in the document, because that's one of the most common things that compliance would be looking for. Okay, that's cool. I'm going to click on the latest and greatest version. Open. Okay, so I'm going to open the latest and greatest version. There you go. Now check this out, friends. And I'm in Word. Again, this is the power of Office 365 working with tools that we already know. I'll hit review. And when I hit review, I'm going to hit compare. Please compare to a specific version. And what you're seeing here, friends, is Word went back to my project site, look at that file, pulled up the version history, and asked me, which version do you want to compare this with? Well, compare with the very first one. Let's do that. So compare, okay? And as I compare it, what do we have? Word shows me this is version 1, the original document. This is the revised document, and that's what's changed. Is that helpful? How many times have you sent out a document that you need to work on with other colleagues? Hey, can you guys fill in this, work with me on this document? First paragraph, second paragraph, just email it out, right? You're expecting 5 back, you get 20. Ooh, I forgot about this. And now trying to figure out how to cobble all this together. Those days are gone. And if you're thinking this is a brand new feature, it's been there since 2003. You see, friends, the problem, I work on a lot of SharePoint deployments. The problem with organizations today is they're trying to go, we're going to roll out SharePoint. We're going to hook it up with ERP, SAP, our dynamic system, CRM. You want SharePoint success? Baby steps, things like this. You got to understand where the pain is. I know, there's a lot of techies here. That's not cool, docs. Unhappy users aren't cool as well. You have one shot, at least your initial shot, to make people like this. And if you show them that there's value to them, such as this, they'll buy it. Right? Now, my analogy to this is a lot of organizations, be it Project Server or SharePoint or even other tools, it doesn't matter. IT walks in, and again, I'm an IT geek. I remember back in high school, you're going to laugh. I had glasses. I went to a private school. I wore tuck-in shirt and pants. I was in the ham radio club. Remember ham radio? So I had my ICOM 8 VHF tucked there because I walk around school with that. I had my pens on my pocket right here. No, not slide rule. Because that was cool. And one day I had the nerve, I told my buddy, hey, I'm going to ask our number one cheerleader out to a date. I walked up to her locker. I said, hi, you must know me. I'm Dux, president of Computer Club. You want to do lunch? She didn't even talk to me, walked away. See, the problem is that's what's going on. We laugh with technology today in organizations. Here's SharePoint. Bless your heart. Versus the converse of all this, I know it's funny, but when I met my wife's not a geek. She's an occupational therapist. Before I even thought of pursuing her, I asked her friends, what kind of music does she like? Right? What kind of work does she do? What kind of conversation? So I got to know her, what her hopes and dreams are and what her frustrations are. And then I talked to her about that. I provided solutions around that. That's how we make the business fall in love with tools like this. Right? I'm trying hard up here. No clap even? No, just kidding. Now, so that's one scenario. Let me show you another scenario. Okay, so I'm looking at this document. So, okay, I'm going to close all this stuff. One of the things I noticed, friends, is, you know what? This is good. I got audited. I'm safe. But as I'm reviewing this document, right, change impact analysis, I think it needs to be prettied up. I can't pronounce that right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to check if my colleagues are online. All right. So I'll just copy this URL. Okay, so I should have just said copy shortcut. I could have done that. I'm going to copy this URL, okay, and I'm going to fire up Lync. Lync, again, is an instant messaging tool that comes with Office 365. And I'm going to look at my colleagues. Oh, there's Mike. And green means he's online. So I'm going to send him a chat message. I'll say, hey, Mike, you there? Can you pretty up this document? So I just sent him the link. So my goal is I ping my colleague Mike, and so you see he's typing, and I just want him to look at that document and see if he can update it. All right. Okay, good. So while Mike is doing that, I'm going to leave him alone. All right. And while he's doing that, so I use Lync to let Mike know I didn't send an email, I didn't attach the file. I'm going to go ahead and open that document again. And it's still thinking, well, let me close this because I got the read-only version. That's not what I want. Okay, so I'm going to open that document again, and I'm going to work on it some more. Now, one of the great things with SharePoint, at least in this version, it has a feature called document co-authoring. And what that means is, literally, in the spirit of collaboration, multiple people can work on that one same document at the same time. Remember back in the old versions of SharePoint? When you had to work on something, you had to check the document out. And then if the person forgets to check it in, you can't work on it. Y'all remember those days? I don't even have to deal with that today. With document co-authoring, see that. Oh, even Tim joined in, right? So I'm there, Tim's there, right? Mike must have pinged Tim. Yeah? So Mike can jump in while you see him too. Now, as they're editing, Word will constantly check my project site and see what's being updated. I can hit this save, which also refreshes it, or if I just want to wait. You all see that? This became red. Tim was working on it. Right? Now, I can leave it up and people can work on it. It's all good. Now, if I try to change this, it won't let me. Oh, it does. So, but when I hit next, notice there's a little arrow here. I can put my mouse there. There's a certain way to put it there. See, to avoid conflicts, other authors cannot edit this area because somebody else you're now working on it, all that good stuff. Is that something useful? Document co-authoring. Very, very powerful. Now, what else? So I've shown you collaboration with versioning, with document co-authoring. Let me show you another thing. One of the things that I found, so this is a true story. We were working with an organization. We rolled out SharePoint and project, and at any given point in time, this organization has 100 projects running. So one of the things we found out, at the end of the month, every project manager would have to send an Excel spreadsheet to somebody in finance, Sally, for all their project expenses. Does that sound familiar? And Sally, at the end of the month, she has to cobble all these expense reports and create like a summary of these things in Excel, so the big boss can see how much we're spending for the project. We're all good? So I talked to Sally. I said, Sally, how much time do you spend doing that every month? She goes, I spend about 5 to 7 hours, I kid you not, every month to check my email, grab these Excel files, put it in my desktop, cobble it together, and come up with this one report that has pivot tables and charts and whatever. Y'all follow me? So I proposed to Sally. I said, no, I didn't propose. I asked Sally, would you like me to help you to cut the time down, maybe in half, 4 hours, instead of spending 7 hours or 8 hours? She goes, sure, but I don't want to learn anything new. As long as it's in Excel, I'm happy. But if you're going to show me anything new, even on the website, I don't care for that stuff. The hard truth we have to face, friends, is technology adoption biggest challenge is what? Change management. Sally told that to me because she said, Docs, I'm not giving you a hard time, but I'm going to retire in a year. I don't need to learn anything new. I'm happy with Excel. I live in Excel, all that good stuff. I go, that's fine, Sally. In fact, I'm not even going to show you anything new. I'm just going to use Excel for you. All right, so Sally, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to show you an example. So Sally, let's say this spreadsheet is for the Phoenix project, and every sheet you could do it for a different project. And let's say I'm just going to pre-populate it some. So let's say these are the current expenses for the Phoenix project. Y'all follow me? Okay, and then next, what I'm going to do with these information is I will convert it to what's called an Excel table. And by the way, this feature I'm showing you is built into Excel and has been there since Excel 03. Okay? So as I convert it to Excel table, check out what popped up, friends. Publish and allow sync. Okay? So I'm going to click that, and I will go back to my SharePoint site, Control-C, and let me go back to Excel, and let me paste it. All right. I just need the URL of the project site. There you go. And I'm going to say project expenses. And let me hit publish. So what's going on here, friends? What's going on is Excel is talking to that project site, creating what's called an expense list, taking that data and pushing it out. Now, what happens next? So what I'm going to do next is I will go to that expense list in that project site. Check this out, project expenses. In the spirit of one-stop shop, not only can we keep our documents, our calendar entries, our contacts, expense-related data is also in this one project site. The new process now, project managers don't even have to send Excel emails or Excel file on emails. Every time they spend on something, they just go to the project site in the datasheet view, for example, enter, okay, we spent money for travel, $5,000. And the cool thing about this, in fact, we also bought a car, 30 grand. The cool thing about this is the data entered on this project site, and again, mind you, it doesn't even have to be on Internet Explorer, okay, it could be other tools, is connected to that Excel file sitting on Sally's desktop on the other side of the world. So what I'm going to do here is on Sally's desktop, I'll hit refresh, synchronize, all right? In fact, I have the synchronize button up here as well. So notice that travel and cars showed up. Y'all see that? And then Sally's looking at this. Well, I'm looking at the receipt. You guys didn't buy a car. You guys bought carpet, and it's $3 grand. And not only can she receive the information, she can tweak the information and push it back out as well. Once she pushes it back out, all right, let me hit refresh again. The updated data is now displayed on that project site. You guys like that? Now, let's go back to Sally. So, when I showed this to Sally, I kind of taught her a couple. And what she did is she created spreadsheets, 100 of these, for connected to different projects. A few months later, she calls me up and says, Dux, I really want to thank you. Just by showing me that, it literally cut down half of what time I used to spend. I don't have to muck around with emails anymore, pick that file, copy it to my documents folder, cobble it together. None of that. I spend time just to validate the data, making sure people didn't enter it incorrectly. Thank you. That's how you win the hearts and minds of your users. What's in it for them? The whole excuse of better collaboration, BI, reporting, kumbaya, that doesn't mean jack squat to Sally. If Sally can spend the other 4 hours on Facebook, she's happy. I'm not saying that's what she's doing, but now, the power of collaboration that Office 365 provides. And like I said, friends, if you have all these tool sets in your organization, you are able to do this. I showed you a lot of different integrations. Word, Outlook, Excel. Well, let me show you something else in Outlook. One of the things, and this is something very useful, at least in my company. I propose you use this as well. So one of the things that we have in our project site is a discussion board. So the idea of a discussion board is to capture project-related communication. So the idea is if it's something that's relevant to most of everyone in the project, when is the vendor coming, for example? You want to post that on the discussion board so it's transparent, it's there, people can see it. Now, one of the hardest things, again, I know it's a part of this change management issue, is to make people post a discussion. Y'all with me? Change management is hard. Do you guys remember when email first came out? Never forget that day. Today, email is a no-brainer. We love email. When email first came out, I had a customer, and this is not a joke. Before email, what was the primary electronic communications tool before email? Fax. If you're more sophisticated, you call facsimile. Fax, right? So I had a customer, law firm. I emailed something, and the assistant got the email of my customer. She printed my email, read it out to her boss, and the boss responded. She wrote the response on that printed email, faxed it back to me. That's funny, Dux. That's what's going on today, right? We send emails back and forth. Hey, here's the link to the file in SharePoint site. By the way, I also attached it just in case. So, how do we make this work? The cool thing about the discussion board, just like the calendar, the contacts, the document library, I can connect it to Outlook as well. We communicate primarily via email, then so be it, right? So I can bring in the discussion board onto Outlook, and notice that the discussion pops up kind of sort of like an email. I don't even have to go to the project site. I can respond to it next week, or I can even create a new post. When are we hiring baristas? Okay? So it's all there, and just like that calendar entry I posted earlier, let me go back to the discussion board. Let me hit enter. Those same set of information, when are we hiring baristas? When is the vendor coming next week? Did I click on it? Okay. Will show up just fine. Y'all see that? Baby steps. Now, okay, Dux, what about non-IE browsers? That's fine. We talk about collaboration. Let's say you're mobile. You're using, this time using Firefox, right? I want to work on some document. I can certainly do that. Okay. Let me go ahead and click on this document. So part of what SharePoint offers is a feature called Office Web Apps. Office Web Apps takes your common Office tools and make it available on the browser. Word, Excel, OneNote, PowerPoint. And notice that not only can I view this Word document, check this out, friends, I can edit it. And once I hit edit, it's going to load. You'll see a lightweight version of Microsoft Word show up on my browser. I can start editing it. Eat your heart out, Google Apps or Google Docs. Now, let me tell you, this actually saved me one time. last year I had the great opportunity to speak keynote at the Department of State SharePoint Conference, internal conference. In case you don't know, State Department, U.S. State Department has one of the biggest SharePoint deployments out there. So they have their own conference in-house. So I was the only external person, and it was it was an honorable experience because I spoke in the podium where Secretary Clinton would typically speak. That's cool. But one of the things they told me is, Dux, you cannot bring your laptop. Security. Bring your PowerPoint in a thumb drive. Okay? And it has to be this brand and this level of encryption. Well, we'll just send you one. Cool. I copied. I got in. And we're setting up, right? So I popped my PowerPoint onto their machine, which I first noticed was running Windows, what was that? What's before Windows? XP, okay? I'm trying to remember that name. Windows XP, which is cool. And when I fire up PowerPoint 2001. My PowerPoint was in 2010. It won't open. It doesn't even realize invalid file name, PPTX. Nobody had PowerPoint 2010 there. I said, no worries. Being a good project manager, right? I have all my stuff in Office 365. So I have my PowerPoint slide on a document library like this. I brought it up, and I did my presentation directly from the browser, and people didn't know the difference. You could do a full screen view and run your PowerPoint slide directly from Office 365. Very, very useful. Now, as we look at these integration points and collaborative capabilities, one of the crucial questions, too, is, okay, Dux, what about mobile? You start talking about Macs and Windows and Office and all that good stuff. But what about mobile? Well, what about it, right? So let me do this. You see, there's a couple ways you can interact with Office 365 or a SharePoint site with your mobile devices. Number one, out of the box, SharePoint comes with a mobile-enabled version of the site, which I'll show you in a while. It's /m. What it is, it'll render it in text-only version, which is cool. Well, the other thing, too, that's my family right there. The other thing, too, is Safari on the iPad, for example, is fine to use to bring up your project site. So let's say, let me go to the URL of this demo we're working on. Okay, all right. So, I can go there, right? So there's I forgot to, this is the PMO site we were working on. So let's go to the Phoenix site we're working on, all right. Is that the Phoenix site? Oh, it's still loading. So while that's loading, let me fire up my phone as well. I've got a Windows phone here. Okay. So another thing while that's loading Windows Phone, as you can see, for those that are not familiar, Office is built in. And when I go to Office, right, under Locations, these are my different SharePoint sites. Y'all see that? Not only can I go to it, I can actually open up files, edit it. So let's say, let me go to the Phoenix Cafe. Let me take this iPad away for now because I'm demoing the. I'll bring the iPad back. Where's my Phoenix? Oh, it's not loaded. It's still thinking. All right, but I could go there and update it. See, that's a cool thing. If you like gadgets, you can switch and demo one and then the other. All right, so see, there's my project site, mobile. All right, and what else? So let's say let me open up this travel request. This travel request capability I have is actually running InfoPath services. For those not familiar with InfoPath, is that one product you never figure out what to do with it, but now you will? It's a form creation tool that works nicely with SharePoint because you can create a form, push it out to SharePoint, and it's a very rich form tool. There you go. So I have a travel request form that people can fill out directly on their iPad. All right. Well, Dux, that's just the browser. Are there apps for it? Absolutely. There's a lot of great apps. My favorite app on the iPad or the iPhone, it's an app called Share Plus. It's a native app. You don't have to use the browser. With Share Plus, you can you can enter your project site information. So I got a lot of different things here. Let me go to my, it's still thinking, still loading. But I can go to my project documents. There you go. All right. And a lot of the basic file types, it will open. Obviously, a Microsoft project file, this thing cannot open. But so let's say, let me open this Word document. There you go. And there you have it. I can even edit it. Everybody see that? Oh, yeah, I didn't put in a Word app for this, but you can. Is this helpful? So for folks that tell you, yeah, SharePoint, I can't use iPad or phone and all that good stuff with that. Who said so? Now, what about this /m deal, right? What's the deal with /m? So let me show this to you, friends. So if I go back to my project site, okay, and let's go to Phoenix Cafe. And what I'm going to do, and this is built in, friends, you don't even have to do anything special. You could do this in-house as well. All you have to do is put /m. And what that is, it shows you a mobile-enabled format of the site. So imagine if this was a phone, it's lightweight, it's going to load fast, and it's text only. Not only can you see it, you can actually interact with it. You can go to it, you can post a new item, you can say, okay, MS PC12 rocks, okay, save. Well, as I enter that, let me flip to my Mac interface here. Okay, let's go to the Phoenix site. So if we look at that full-blown version of the site now, friends, you see that? MSPC12 rocks. So not only can you consume information, you can also interact and create information as well. Now, here's a tip for you. Since the mobile version is primarily a text-only version, it's very lightweight. It loads relatively faster, right? So that's one benefit. Number two, anybody familiar with Section 508? No? Yes? Okay, let me explain what that is. Section 508 is part of the American Disabilities Act. In fact, it was enacted 5-6 years ago by the U.S. federal government. The idea is any U.S. government-related electronic information should be accessible by anyone, even if they're visually impaired. So folks that are visually impaired today, the way they surf the web is they use Braille browsers or Braille readers. Y'all with me? And as you can suspect, pictures, videos, all that stuff won't show up on those browsers. And because of that, American Disabilities Act was enacted, and Section 508 states that if you have a website, you should have a version of that website that should be accessible by folks that are visually impaired. So what ended up happening is government agencies, they have to comply. They created two versions of their site. Regular version, text version. What happens? This gets updated, the other doesn't. Y'all with me? It's a mess. Well, with this, it doesn't matter. The presentation is different, but all the data is the same. So in theory, I can copy this. I can go to my project site. I can simply tweak this. Let me go to my site settings. Let me go to my navigation so I can add this navigation here. And I'm doing all this in the role of as a role of a project manager. Well, how come it's still thinking. I'm just going to add a link that says text-only version of the site, and it will show up in my navigation on the upper left. Okay, so let me add that. Text-only version. Okay. Pop in the URL. It's essentially the /m. Okay. And then let's move it up a bit. For usability perspective, it has to be the first one. That's part of the rule. You know. And let me hit OK. All right. So once I hit OK, friends, notice in my navigation, let me go to my home page, text-only version, voila, mobile version. Y'all see that? Very practical and useful. How's everything so far? Good stuff? All right. I know you're thinking about lunch now, but next, tracking. So we talked about initiating planning a project. We talked about collaboration. I showed you a lot of different options around collaborating using this platform. What about once you start running the project? What are the things we track? Well, we track a lot of different things. We track schedule, budget, we track change. So when we run our project as a project manager, when we control our project, it entails a lot of different things. We monitor, we analyze what's going on, and we correct it, and then the cycle continues. So the beauty with Project 2010, in this version, specifically Project Pro Desktop, your schedule can be synchronized with a SharePoint project task list. Even custom fields can be synchronized. This means a project manager can create the schedule, connect it to a SharePoint site, and have the resource enter their updates on the SharePoint site. Y'all with me? Without touching project. That same data set will now come back to the Microsoft project file sitting on the project manager's desktop. No more emailing that MPP file around and have people fill it up. Have you done that? Does it come back in one piece? No. That's right. So how do we do all this? Okay, let me show you. So what we've got here, friends, is let me go back to my Phoenix Cafe site. So before I do that, I want to go to my project task list. And the project task list in SharePoint 2010 has been updated, and it looks rather similar or closer to Microsoft Project. It has a nicer Gantt chart view, and notice it's empty right now. Okay? So what I'm going to do, friends, is I'm going to open up Microsoft Project, and before I synchronize it, as a good project manager, what I want to do is baseline my project first. Anybody can tell me, well, why we baseline? What's the idea of baselining? Yes, sir? Very good. He says we baseline because we track variance. What we plan for versus what actually goes on. It's a good practice. So as I baseline my project, the next thing you'll see, friends, is notice in the Gantt chart, actually in my tracking Gantt view, we have two sets of data. We've got the bottom data, which is the baseline, which will not change, and the top data, which is your actuals, which will change. Now I'm going to go ahead and synchronize. So I'm going to go to the backstage. I'm going to hit File, Save and Send, Sync with Task List, and I'm going to put PHX here, Validate. So it's going to access that project site, make sure I can connect to it, and I'm going to pick the right task list, the project task list. I will hit Sync. Now, as I sync it, one of the key things you have to remember is the resources you put in there. Listen, I typed Dux Raymond Tsai. That resource has to exist on Office 365 as a user. If you don't do that, it'll throw a fit, and that resource won't go through. Now, it did throw a fit. All right, let's restart. Yeah, project is mad because it's running on a Mac. Okay. Let me open it up again. See, they should create a version for the Mac. Okay, so let me open this up. Okay, now, another thing you have to remember, friends, is as you synchronize, what gets synchronized is actually the schedule. The schedule you see on the Gantt chart, that gets synchronized. So I don't think I saved it earlier, so let me go ahead and set the baseline again. Set baseline, okay, all right. So let me hit save, so I won't lose that. And what it's doing is saving it to the document library, okay? So let me go ahead and hit save and send. Sync with task list, PHX, validate, project task, sync. Okay, so it's checking if the list exists, it's talking to it, it's synchronizing it, and once it's done, all right, we should, okay, that's fine. You continue, okay. Why does it throw a fit? Oh, let me check something here. Let me go to the project task list now. Wow, that's odd. Okay, let me go ahead and do this. And I'll just do it one more time. I suspect I know what. There you go. All right, so while it's doing that, the idea is, I'll just leave it alone for now. Once you synchronize, the data comes back and forth. So what I'm going to do is I'll actually show you a version of this, a similar version of this project site that I've synchronized earlier. So at least you can see an example. So let me do this one more time, and if it flakes out, that's fine. I have another one that I did earlier that I could show you. Validate. All right. Let's see, project, oops, not that, task list, project task list, sync. Okay, while it's doing that, I'm going to pull up another project site. Buckhead Cafe, that's in Atlanta right there. And the task list was last synchronized. Oh, I see what happened there. Okay. All right, let's go back here. There you go. So when I synced it, this is an example of something I did earlier with a Buckhead project task. And the idea is, once it's entered, you'll see all this data show up. So let me go ahead and open the Buckhead project task list. Very similar project plan. So I'll show you once it's updated, you'll see all the relevant updates happen as well. All right, so let me go ahead and open project. Okay. Let's try that. Microsoft project, there you go. Buckhead, there you go. So, I'm going to go ahead to my Buckhead project site. So this is connected to that project site right here. So one of the things, as you can see, I have a lot of different fields being displayed. What I can certainly do, friends, is I can modify the view to only display the things I'd like to see. So I don't really care about the WBS ID. I don't care about the baseline start and finish. All I want to see is who it's assigned to and have people enter % complete. And just like entering % complete, if you guys enter actuals, like actual work, actual duration, you can also synchronize those fields as well. And I'll show that to you in a while. So let me click OK. I'm just trying to modify the view so we can see it clearly. Here we go. So let's say, in this one we didn't assign to anybody, but I want to show you your resource can update it up on the project site. And from the project plan, the project manager can synchronize it. Okay, let's see. This is Buckhead. In fact, let me just do this. Open in project. Yep. So now the project manager having this file open. Wow. Well, you know what? I recorded all this and I sent out the videos already so you can see the step-by-step. So the idea is the same data set would show up on Microsoft Project. Now, what else? We can also maximize processes being automated. One of the cool things with SharePoint is the built-in workflow capability. So what we can do is any type of process in your project, so for example, like change requests, travel requests, all that good stuff, you can automate it. Meaning, let me go to my change request. I can have a form like this and put in all the rules, and I've also sent out a step-by-step demo on how you do this. You know, what's a change request, why you're changing, and you can say, if somebody enters a change request, it's going to go to the change control board. Then, if the change control board approves it, it's going to go to the customer. And all that is automated. Last thing, dashboarding. The thing that will get us promoted. So how do we build dashboards on SharePoint? If we go back to our SharePoint project site, okay, Phoenix Cafe, all right, let's say your manager wants to see all the expenses in a visual format. So easy enough, as a project manager, I can edit this home page, and what I'm going to do is I will plop in what's called a chart web part. It comes with SharePoint Online. And the idea is I'm going to tie this charting mechanism to the expense information that I have. So let's see, business data. I have a lot of different tools I can use for that. KPI indicators, charting web part. I'm going to add that. And as I add that, there you go. I'm going to now tie that chart. Are you sure you want to save it? Okay, yeah. I'm going to tie that chart. First of all, I'm going to pick a chart. I need a pie chart to show how I'm spending for the project. Where is my pie chart? There you go, friends. And let me pick 3D. Let me pie, finish. So I pick the kind of chart I want. And then next, I'm also going to tie it to the expense list. Remember that expense Sally pushed out? So you can tie it to a bunch of different data sets. It doesn't even have to be on your project site. Project expenses, next. Next. Finish. And we should see it. So now, what does this tell me? The way I've set it up, right? Anytime the expense list is updated, or even the Excel sheet is updated, this chart would reflect the appropriate data set for me. So let's say if the person in finance is updating this, okay, we bought some coffee machines, a lot of them. Let's see, $10,000, okay. Table, synchronize, okay. So what's just happened here? What I've just done, friends, is I've pushed this Excel data to the expense list. So if we look at the expense list, okay, we should be able to see that coffee machine information. But even better, right, if we look at this dashboard that I just created, coffee machines is right there. Is that cool? So now you don't have to worry about on a weekly basis cobbling data together and trying to send reports to your boss or customer manually. Anytime they want to look at this stuff on their iPad, all right. There you go. That chart would show up just fine. They can even zoom in or out. It's still loading. How you guys like that? Good? So, hopefully, this session was beneficial for you. What do you guys think? Was it helpful? Open your eyes to a lot of different potentials, yeah? So thank you guys for coming to this session. And a couple of things I want to let you know. Throughout the session, I've been sending out tweets. All my demos, I've recorded it. So it's all online. You can watch it. You can send it to your folks. You can download this PowerPoint deck, but additionally, there's a white paper that Innovative wrote around using Office 365 and project collaboration. You can download that too from your MyPC portal. Also, at 1 o'clock, I'm going to give away books, SharePoint for Project Management. And speaking about giving away books, where's that bag? Anybody? Okay, all right. So I'll pick a winner. I'm going to give away SharePoint 2010 for Project Management. Let's see. Edna Gomez. Edna, you still here? Oh, you're not here, sorry. Bruce Geiser, Goodyear. Oh, no, you're not here. All right. So you don't walk away from ducks. Keith Bucalia. URS? No? All right. Man. Now I can't pronounce his name. Sorry. Miroslav Hayus. There you go. Congratulations. Thank you. Well, friends, thank you for being so gracious. Don't forget to fill out the evaluation. Other than that, enjoy the rest of the conference. And I'm at booth 103 if you want to come talk to me. Or I have another session tomorrow at 9 o'clock on how you deliver SharePoint success. Thanks and enjoy lunch.